give a very big round of applause to Paul Bragiel while I help him to get his seat. Look, the hero. Don't move, Paul. I'm going to bring you a chair because for you, oh God, this is actually heavier than I thought. Man, you're going to have the centerpiece of this stage. Look at you, man. And here's your microphone. I hope it's on. If it's not, I'm going to check it.
Can you hear me? Yes.
Ah,
okay, awesome.
Fantastic. We don't have to be too close to each other because otherwise we'll larsen each other in. I know it feels like you're in therapy.
Like interrogator or something. Right?
So can you introduce yourself for those who don't know you?
Hey, everybody. So my name is Paul Bragiel. I'm from Silicon Valley. Three-time entrepreneur. Sold 2 of those companies. Sold the most recent one in 2010. And then since then, I've been now in, I've switched sides, I'm in venture capital. I started a fund in Silicon Valley called IO Ventures. Done about 50 investments there, including early investments into Uber, Zappos, and Unity. And then in the subsequent years, I've been starting funds in emerging markets. So I have a fund in Africa, have a fund in Southeast Asia, have a fund in Nordics, and now also looking to maybe expand here into MENA. So that's kind of why I'm here and looking to learn, but also hopefully share some of my learnings over the years as well, too.
So you keep traveling a lot, I mean, I know,
Yes.
and you have a big interest in emerging markets. Today we're talking, the theme of this conference is emerging ecosystems.
Yeah.
So do you see a pattern that all emerging ecosystems share, or do you think they're all very different?
No, I mean, entrepreneurs are pretty equal everywhere in the world. I mean, some might be stronger technically, some might have different access to money, but in general, if somebody's an entrepreneur, we're kind of the same, I guess, brotherhood or sisterhood or whatever you want to call it. The biggest thing I see though is like, yeah, in a lot of the emerging markets, it's always a cultural issue as to why there aren't more entrepreneurs. People are struggling with failure, people are struggling with recruiting people, or sometimes people are just struggling with family issues, like your parents don't want you to start a thing, or your friends look down upon you for starting stuff. But that's not the only, I mean, every country I go to, they're like, oh, we have these problems, and the thing is, you're not the only country. Every country in the world has the exact same problems. So, like, if you feel bad about things, like, trust me, everyone's going through the same thing. So, yeah, I guess that's the biggest trend. And always lack of money. How do you get more money, right? The only place where there's lots of money is probably Silicon Valley and maybe, well, there's actually some money here in the Middle East. Depends on which countries. But they don't even know how to get it because they're not used to entrepreneurship and stuff.
You mentioned failure and that fear of failure because there's a stigma in some societies. Actually, isn't it pretty much everywhere the same thing?
Yeah, it's everywhere. I mean, like, people think it's not in the United States or not in Silicon Valley. That's complete BS, right? I mean, I grew up in the Midwest in Chicago. There, nobody takes risks either, right? People are scared as well. And even in Silicon Valley, like, when I had my second company actually was a complete failure, right? I went out there, I lost all my investors' money. I had to fire my whole team, basically. I mean, yeah, I had a lot of fear, and yeah, it really sucked. It wasn't like I failed in Silicon Valley and it was any better for me. It was just as bad as for anybody else. So I think that people have it in their head that their problems are special. No, I mean, everyone's scared to fail. It just, you have to know how to recover from it and kind of, you know, have a support network around you to make it, I guess, more malleable, more feasible, I guess. So yeah.
In terms of support, am I on? Yes. In terms of support, are there things, lessons, best cases, whatever you want to call them, that you've seen in some successful emerging ecosystems that could be applied here, for instance?
Yeah, so like, I mean, a lot of these ecosystems will have government money and they'll have some VCs popping up. You know what, that's all nice, but that's a kind of like the cherry on the top. The best ecosystems I see are actually very grassroots. And so what that means is that like anybody in this room that's an entrepreneur, or not even an entrepreneur, like if you just want to support the entrepreneurs, like that's what's really important, right? So getting together, having dinners together, having beers, just being around each other, meeting regularly really helps, right? Also, being an opening and sharing your contacts, right? So Lebanon, I mean, there's a few successes here, but not a huge amount yet, right? But if there are some people should be supporting each other, right? You should be trying to promote and kind of prop up all your friends and all your fellow entrepreneurs, because if one person does well from Lebanon, then more will do it. Because then somebody in Silicon Valley will say, hey, I met a cool Lebanese startup. Oh, then they already have a good mindset. So the best ecosystem I see is it where people are really helping each other and promoting each other, right? They don't see it as like a winner takes all, like I want to be the #1 entrepreneur in the country. It's more like I'm going to do well and I'm going to drag up and pull up my friends, and then my friend will do really well. He'll pull me up, right? And it's that type of attitude and kind of helping each other out that I see really helps in an ecosystem to grow, and for seeing people to kind of come together and kind of get over some of these problems.
So basically, you're saying there should be an open culture, because we see a lot of, I mean, you've probably seen that. I mean, I see sometimes that in Greece, which has some similarities to this market, where people will not share. Yeah, I have this idea, but I'm not going to tell anyone. I'm going to work on it because, or they're going to make you sign an NDA just for an idea. You're like, what the hell, right? Is it? Do you see that a lot?
No, I mean, yeah, I see that a lot, right? In the markets that are further along, they've shed that idea more and more, right? It's like sharing doesn't hurt you at all. Trust me, your idea is not special.
Yes.
Like nobody really gives a shit. Like everybody has an idea. Like I have an idea. I'm gonna do flying cars. Great. Now what do I do with that idea? It's more the execution, right? So everybody has the same ideas. It's more like how you implement it. And even if me and you did the same thing, right? And we both went at it, we would come up to very different conclusions, because he would choose one path, I would choose one. So oversharing is actually the way to increase your successes. The more people know what you're working on, the more potential connections you could have. So I would not be shy at all. Like, don't hide anything. Tell as many people in the world about what you're working on. Your chances to succeed will be even higher.
I mean, I couldn't make that my presentation at the beginning. So one of the slides I wanted to show was this. I call it a generation of 1,000 angels. One of the things I see in successful ecosystems, I don't know if you agree with me, Paul, is that when people make success, instead of buying a house and getting, by the sea, which is great, by the way, I would.
You got to do that. You have to have the
that.
nice house to make the money, right? Yeah.
But they reinvest. They reinvest, of course, in knowledge, in know-how, but they also reinvest money. It basically like creates this engine where one success leads to 10, 100 entrepreneurs that will invest money, and that goes on and on and on. Is it something that you see happening in emerging countries? Because sometimes it feels that it's a bit stuck.
No, a lot of countries, the wealthy people just kind of fall off the planet, right? They were, they probably were entrepreneurs, but maybe of a different generation, and they take the money and they run, or they move out of the country, which is even worse. But I am seeing, once again, in some of these places are actually kind of picking up more and more. Yeah, you're seeing some of the early exits, and then people do become angel investors, and they do kind of reinvest their time back into me. I mean, for instance, myself, right? I sold 2 of my companies. I don't have to ever meet anybody again. I could go out there and sit in my nice house, right? But I want to. I think it's part of my duty. People were very helpful and friendly to me. People put money into me, and people spent time with me. I want to do the same thing, but my goal is I don't want to do that only in Silicon Valley. I want to do that everywhere in the world, and that's kind of why I'm here. I want to be like a resource. I want you guys to learn from people like me, what it takes. So yeah, we try to be as approachable, and so yeah, if you see me around, say hi. Make sure I'm sitting so I'm not standing, but otherwise,
he cannot run away anyway, so you can catch him very easily.
I can't run away today. This is a very good point.
I'm going to open the floor for questions, by the way, so if you have any, you can already raise your hands. We have our hostesses with microphones. They will come to you, and I will let you ask questions. You mentioned at the beginning, and you just remarked that again, that, you open many funds. You haven't opened one in the region, so besides wanting to do it, would there be something that precludes you from doing it? Is there any particular barriers of entry in the region or in Lebanon that are actually more difficult than other places, or not?
No, I mean, I don't think there's any difference between here or Southeast Asia, and maybe just in terms of how much financing's around or the timing. But as I said, like if I close my eyes and just listen to an entrepreneur, be it here or be it anywhere else, everyone's the same. We all read the same blogs. We're all using the same open source. We're all in the same technology stacks. It's just we're missing, other parts of the world are maybe missing access to the money and then access to the connections in the valley. So no, there's nothing really stopping us. It's more like, where do we do it? Who do we partner up with? Who do we co-invest with? I mean, that's also very important for me. When we go into a region, I want to find very good co-investors or people that come in, because I don't want to, get partners that are going to be like, greedy or don't have the right ethics. I don't want to encourage bad behavior. So we're trying to find the right country or the right countries in a region to kind of set up shop, and then, kind of go from there.
Can you give one of the problems that sometimes entrepreneurs see in emerging markets is that they don't encounter. I mean, there's a lot of VCs. There is money, but maybe the quality is not there. Meaning, not all the VCs are equal. Not all the money is equal. Some is smarter than not.
Yeah.
Is there any way for an entrepreneur to kind of spot, you know, the good from the bad?
I mean, it's hard, right? Because even some of the best VCs, you know, can be a little bit evil sometimes, right? Because you get a bad relationship with an entrepreneur, and it happens. I mean, I'm sure there's some entrepreneurs that I've worked with that probably like, oh, Paul pissed me off, right? So what I'm trying to say though is, a lot of times you want to go out there and meet VCs and build a relationship with them, right? So somebody might not be as famous, but they really believe in you and they're going to work really hard for you. It's almost better to have somebody who's going to jump through hoops and is less famous than somebody who's very famous, puts the money in, and then just turns your back on you, right? So you want to go out there, talk to as many VCs, build up a relationship with them, and then also do your homework. There's so many entrepreneurs that don't do any homework, right? They go out there, they take money from the VC, they give us the first check, and they don't even do any due diligence. You should go out there and talk to the entrepreneurs that took money from them before. You should go out there and like, you know, evaluate their portfolios, how it's performed, and you should go out there and talk to other partners in the firm. Ask those hard questions because it's a long-term relationship. When you take money from a VC, it's usually 7-10 years, unless the company gets sold earlier. I mean, like, it's a long-term thing, so make sure you feel comfortable with this person. So don't take it lightly, but yeah, then ask around, and don't be afraid to ask hard questions. It's very important. It's one of the most important decisions you'll make, because if you get a bad investor, it can really fuck things up. So, yeah.
You're a bit of an outlier in the Silicon Valley in certain ways. You have people like Dave McClure, do you see more and more of people in the Silicon Valley, I mean, besides having an interest in the rest of the world, especially in emerging markets, actually daring to go there and invest or co-invest like you do or Dave does?
Yes, there is a rarity, but I see more and more people at least are open to it. Maybe they won't jump on a plane to find deals, but if I give them a deal or Dave gives them a deal, a lot of my friends say yes nowadays. They've seen that the returns are coming in and they're getting more excited about it. Also, a lot more entrepreneurs are coming through Silicon Valley. Like, 5 years ago, that was common, but now it's like super common. Like, you see every single week a group of people coming in from countries, right? So nowadays, people in the Valley are way more open to deals. So if they're not coming to your country, then you should show up in our doorsteps. And people are now at least open to doing deals versus 5 years ago to find a venture capital to put money into a foreign company was almost impossible. So I think the pockets are getting loosened a little bit, and that bodes very well. So at the end of the day, VCs want to make money, and they want to work with the best and most talented people, right? And the world is huge, and the talent base is really huge. So luckily that people are kind of opening up to that. So you'll see a lot more investments coming forward from the United States, but also Europe and other parts of the world coming into regions like this too.